We see you getting after your fitness goals. But what about those money goals? You can count on Credit Karma for a clear view of your finances and your progress, helping you see results so you can keep checking off those financial personal bests and find your way to money. Progress never felt so good. Download the Intuit Credit Karma app and start achieving your money goals today. Intuit Credit Karma. Karma you can count on.
Hey, so
This is it.
I know. Well, I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you to everybody who has liked our show, subscribed to our show, left comments, rated it, reviewed it, listened to it. The first few episodes have done very well, and it just makes us even more excited to do more, don't you think?
Yeah, people still want to hear us talk after all these years.
But you know what's funny is I noticed a lot of people were saying, can we get one of just you and Ty by yourselves again?
I know. I noticed that.
I think that's going to end up being the more popular ones.
Well, I just figured I feel like people already know so much about us. So I was like, oh, I want to get guests.
Right.
At first. So I wanted to like feel it out.
I know. I thought that was funny though.
And then we're thinking like, they don't want to hear us talk. Just me and you.
But they do. But I do have to say the ones that have aired so far have been very fun. And, you know, I've learned a lot from the people that we've spoken to. So it's just been, you know, so far it's been a journey, but exciting. And I'm so thankful for the support. So if you
grateful.
You know, if you guys can continue to like and subscribe to the show, listen to the show, you can also catch it on Patreon. The episode always drops a week later on Patreon where you can watch the full video episode.
Which I also noticed a lot of people commenting saying like, where's the full video? I want to watch it. And I'm like, dude, I didn't realize people really want to watch a podcast recording versus just listening to it from audio. So We're learning. We're still learning, guys.
Yeah, we are. And uploading to Patreon has been real fun.
Yeah.
But so I have been commenting to people like on our TikToks and all of that, like, hey, you can watch it here, because people have been curious about that too. But I think this week, I know that you and I wanted to jump into a little bit of, we've been noticing comments of people bringing up stuff and situations and conversations that we've had in the past. And like way past, like we were young.
Like kids.
Still kids.
Like we were
kids.
Yeah,
little young adults.
I mean, we were, 17 years old.
Yeah, or 18.
Yeah, so.
And I feel
But what do you feel like, though? Do you feel like, is there anything specific that you were like, listen, I really want to like...
I think the number one thing to me that bugs me the most is when I see people state like, oh, Tyler and Kim forced Caitlin into this adoption. And basically what I get from it is like they're saying that I chose a man over my child because I was too afraid that you were going to leave. And then a lot of people were tagging me in this TikTok clip of a conversation that we had on a hill. I think we were like 18 years old. And
when I was wearing
your fedora.
Yo, don't judge me for the fedora, guys. It was a thing. I don't know.
It was a thing then.
It was, man. I mean, it's
fine. Yeah.
Back in the old 2000s.
But it was a conversation you and I were having, and you asked me, like, did you ever have any fears that I would leave you if you were to make a different decision or anything? And so I started talking about all of my fears, and one of my fears at that young age was like, yes, I had a fear that if I was going to parent that child and take that baby home, that we would not last forever and that we would break up eventually as a couple.
I think what people are worried about, though, is the wording.
Right.
It was like you said, like, oh, I didn't want to go against your decision, or I was afraid you were going to leave me if I came home from the hospital. It wasn't like, you know, so I get why people are like saying this. I understand it.
My thing is, though, is when I was a child making this decision for my child, I was looking at statistics and people around me, and all of the people around me that had babies at a young age, none of those people were with the other person.
Yeah.
Like, look at even just in general, statistically, people that have teen pregnancies, the couples do not last. They break up. It's very, very rare that people will stay together after having a child at a young age.
Well, we knew that.
Yes.
I mean, it was
So to say if that was one of my fears, absolutely. That me and you would end up not working out and we would have to co-parent this child. And yes, that was a fear of mine. I didn't want my child to come into like a broken home or end up being in a broken home, because you and I both experienced that too. But I think people, they do twist it.
Was like the wording. I get, watching it, I'm like, oh yeah, I understand where you would get that perception, because that's what was said. But it was more or less like, I was afraid you were going to leave me eventually. I was afraid, you know what I mean? You were going to, not that I'm going to leave you because of if I don't do adoption. You know what I mean? It was more or less like.
And I know that you wouldn't have. Would we have deteriorated over the months or years? I think so.
I mean, listen, we can't go back in time and say what would have happened, but I highly assume that we wouldn't have had the freedom to like go to therapy at a young age. Everyone hated on us. Remember this?
Yeah.
When we were 17 and we were like, let's go to therapy. My mom was like, you're an idiot. I can't believe you're going to go to therapy. You're only 17. What issues could you possibly have? And I'm like, well, I did just go through this adoption. Me and my girlfriend are, like it's a huge, so everyone hated on us.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we wouldn't have been able to just emotionally and mentally grow from all of just not even the adoption trauma, but just our whole childhood trauma.
I mean, we had a lot to go through.
But I think the thing that makes me angry, like two things I would say that make me like upset the most, is that when people turn around and say, oh, you chose Ty forced you to do this adoption and his mom did. For one, I feel like you're stripping me of the sadness and the hurt and the strength that it took for me to hand over my child that I so desperately wanted to parent. I would never be that weak of a woman to choose a man over any of my children. Even to this day, if something were to happen, I would be choosing my children.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the other one is that, do people not think that you wanted this child?
I mean, honestly, I personally feel like people forget that I even had
like emotions,
like any attachment to it. They're like, oh, you wanted it, that's all you even wanted from the beginning, and blah blah. And it's like they have no clue that me and you flip-flopped our decision. Both of us said you wanted a parent. I was like, whoa. And then you wanted adoption, and I was like, maybe I want a parent, because after you kind of the first time that you said you wanted a parent, and I was like, okay, fine, we'll figure this out.
That wasn't documented.
That was not documented.
That was behind the scenes.
Because they left for like a couple weeks and they said they'll come back if anything happens, because you're on labor, or you're going to be on labor watch later on.
Yeah.
But and so when that happened and you called me and said that I want to do this, I'm like, all right. Like I buckled up. I was like, we're going to go to Salvation Army, Mom. I got to get all this stuff.
And what did your mom say?
And she was like, okay. If that's what she wants to do, if that's what we're doing. That's what we'll do. And I remember thinking in my head, like, all right, I'm going to go to Salvation Army, and I got like $50. I'm going to try to find like a $5 this, a $10 that, and so, but I feel like when that happened and the cameras didn't catch it, they didn't really see the back and forth and how hard it was to like be a birth dad and have to make this decision too, because at the end of the day, it was like, I could have wanted certain things, but you're carrying this baby. I have no control over this.
Right, or you could have.
So I mean,
but that's what mine like blows my mind is for people first of all to think that I would choose a man over my child, but then again for them to just think that you have no emotions or sadness or sorrow or any want,
or that I would give you some ultimatum. That's insane.
That's sick.
That is so disturbing.
And then for me to continue to stay with you over all these years and have other girls, daughters, and I always say, if you guys really were to think that I'm that type of person, that's disgusting, because I teach my girls completely opposite. You know what I mean? And they know that. Like, I would never stay in a relationship and let my girls think that would be a normal, healthy thing.
But I also noticed that the clip that they played that you're talking about on TikTok, where we're on the hill talking, they didn't play the whole clip. Where later on during that same conversation, I talk about what I was afraid of, and it was like we were literally just talking about our fears if we decide to parent.
Yeah.
Which honestly, producers ask us that all the time.
Oh, God.
Do you know what I'm saying? Remember, we'd have situations about, how do you think this would be? Like, if Carly was here. Yeah. And, so, and then what was that, season 4 of the original? So, I mean, we were already kind of in the nitty gritty of Teen Mom world, but I think it's interesting that people would even, like, because you've even addressed this before and said that.
Multiple times. And now I've gotten to a point, like, this is my last time addressing it.
Right.
If you think that I am weak, then I guess believe whatever you want.
Yeah.
But I was telling one of my friends the other day about this situation, and I said, eventually it just gets to the point where I can say the truth and you can either believe it or not. Yeah. And I sleep good at night. Yeah. I know my morals and my values. I know the person that I love and I care about. Right. And that's all that matters to me. So it's like, I'm sick of addressing it constantly. And so I'm just kind of like, this is my last time addressing it. I'm not a weak woman. Tyler wanted this baby just as much as I did. We both leaned on each other so much through all of those emotions and the sorrow and the back and forth of making an adoption plan. And I think to go back to like what you said too, or what we were saying about how MTV didn't document that time when we flip-flopped. And so, yeah, like I called Tyler and I was just like, and it was getting close to her delivery. And I just remember getting really anxious. And I was like, I don't think I can do this. I can't do this. I want to parent her. And he was on the phone and he was just like, okay, if that's what you want to do, we will do it. Are you sure that's what you want to do?
You read the pros and cons list, remember?
And I was just like, I wanna do it. And, also what was not shown was, it was a few weeks where I was like, okay, I'm going to parent this baby. This is what it's going to be. Yeah.
So we're doing.
And I was getting things and my grandma was sending things to the house for the baby. And then one day, my mom and I got into an argument and she looked at me and she said, oh yeah, well, who's going to buy your daughter diapers when she needs them? And then off rip in a snap, I was like, oh, hell no. Because I watched my grandmother hold things over my mom's head my whole entire life. And in that moment, I was like, I will not have anybody look at me and say that, how is your child going to get diapers when that is one of the most necessity items of having a child?
And when she was also preaching us like she wouldn't like the adoption, she wanted us to parent, we'll help you. Mm-hmm. And then I remember you called me and you were saying like, she said she was going to help us and we got in one little argument. It wasn't even that bad, you said. And she said, well, good luck. Who's going to buy you diapers? And I remember being like, oh my, like, so you're not going to help us. Like, or you're only going to help us when it's convenient for you or you're going to hold it over my head or whatever. Yeah.
And so in that moment, that's when I was like, okay, no, never mind. I have to make this decision for her because if not, my life, it's going to be things held over my head forever and ever and ever.
You calling me and telling me, you're like, all right, never mind, the adoption's back on. I was like, oh my God.
And in that moment, you're thinking like, all right, I'm going to be a dad. We're going to do this. Woo! So was there any emotions for you in that moment when I called and was like, the adoption's back on, I can't do it?
Yes.
Were you like sad or?
Yeah. Okay. So part of me was like, because you obviously told me that after you said your mom wasn't going to buy us diapers or something like that. And I remember thinking in my head, like, damn it. All right, fine. Well, we'll just, I'll figure this out. My mom will be there. I'll get another job or whatever. I was thinking of what I was going to do. And then when you mentioned it, I want to do adoption. It's back on. All the reasons still stay the same. Because remember you mentioned to me, well, our pros and cons list that we made is still the same. Yeah. Nothing's changed. We haven't gotten a bigger house. My mom hasn't gotten more money. I haven't. So many things, like nothing was changing.
Right.
Our parents were still using. We're getting evicted still.
We're still going through school.
So like, I remember when you said that and I was like, all right, you're right. Adoption's right. But I feel like that 2 weeks that we both thought we were going to parent, I mean, yeah, I got excited. Part of me was like accepting just the chaos. All right, this is my life. It's going to be chaotic, whatever it's going to be. But, to say that I wasn't, a little devastated when you called and said that would be a lie because I was.
Right.
And we talked about that. I mean, we have many times where we were in the hospital even look at each other. We remember we didn't have to say nothing.
It was like telepathic.
We just knew, like both like, let's just run. Let's just run.
Yep.
Let's just run somewhere.
Yeah, because even when she was born, those thoughts come for sure.
So I feel like, people had the perception that I was just for this adoption 100% all the time. No negotiations, whatever. And I get watching the clip, it's like, oh, you said, your decision. It's like, yeah, it was my decision. But one thing you said I love so much was you said, you're just lucky I took your decision into consideration. So I don't have to. Not all girls do. And I was like, boom, that's the reality. You were gracious and nice enough to do that.
But I feel like when I found out found out that I was pregnant, I feel like I automatically took you into consideration because first of all, you were a good dude, a supportive dude. You were always there for me. And I was like, hey, this is 50% of his baby as it is mine. Like, I can't be the only one making all these decisions, even though I could have.
You could have. That's what I want everyone to understand, though, that you literally could have.
Yes.
But you didn't.
No, so I don't feel like that's fair. Unless, if you were a loser and a shit and just, left me, I would have been doing whatever the hell I decided to do, Yeah.
But I think it was, like I said, just the wording was like, oh, it was your decision, which took away the fact that, it wasn't your decision. It was all mine and whatever. So I feel like listen, you can go back and find multiple clips where we made mistakes or said things that were, not the best or paint us in a different light. That's fine. We were on TV for 16 years. I guarantee you're going to find something, multiple things that just don't sit right with you. And I also
people forget. Do they forget like we were literally growing up on television? Who doesn't make mistakes in their young years?
And like I think honestly, a lot of it, the mistakes were like just from being naive. Like honestly, I think back about
learning
a lot of the stuff that has to do with the very first time that we got in trouble with Brandon and Teresa about posting the thing about Carly. The very first boundary that I ever broke, the first and last one, in my opinion, was that one picture that I posted on that slideshow after they went on the magazine cover and after they did the adoption whatever.
So after they did the front of the magazine cover and after they did the Dr. Drew show thing, that's when you're talking about when you made the collage of all of the pictures of Carly throughout the years. You posted it on your private Facebook.
No, it was on the fan page.
Oh, was it on the fan page?
Yeah, it was on the fan page. I don't know how many. I mean, it's still back then. It was like Instagram wasn't really a thing, so it was like I think the Facebook fan pages are more like popular or something back then. But yeah, I was on that fan page, and I did it without even thinking because all that stuff happened. Dr. Drew, Magazine Life, whole magazine cover. And I think what's interesting is they play this clip that was played on TV where we already got in trouble off camera. We already got called. We already got in trouble. So when we had the conversation on camera about me posting that video, it was past tense. It already happened. So you're super emotional. You're pregnant and you're talking to me, telling me, they're going to find out this is bad. You know what I mean? And it comes across very like, I'm very just like, screw everybody. I'm doing it. And to be honest with you, that was true when it first happened. And that's one example where I feel young and naive and I'm just being arrogant. And I take full accountability for being arrogant and just annoyed and feeling inferior and just all those things. And like, that's an honest mistake. And I think people forget that we actually, fixed that mistake, quote unquote, when we went and had the conversation with them and we talked about it all and we got a lot of that
and then
conversation.
From then on further, I would ask for permission of what pictures I could post.
And they said we could post the back of her head as long as you can't see her face.
Yes.
And so that's what we did. We never posted another pic that was not approved by them.
And it was very rare that I ever even after fact posted pictures of her. It was like once every few visits I would, but it would always be the back of her head where you can't, because I followed their boundaries of not showing her face. And I completely understood that. And I feel like they, in turn, gave me a little piece of like, oh, that makes me feel good because I can share her a little bit with the world.
Right.
And so, I feel like we came to a very good understanding with that.
Yeah, and I think that's when they mentioned to us about saying we don't want to be on camera anymore. And we were like, that's fine. And the one boundary that they said was we don't want you repeating our conversations verbatim.
Yeah, word for word.
Word for word. Summarization was fine, but don't repeat what we say word for word. We said, okay, fine. They never said, stop talking about Carly, stop talking about the adoption, stop all that stuff. Keep our names out of your mouth, keep our, that never happened. They literally just said, don't post our word for word conversations or repeat the word for word conversations on camera. And we didn't.
No.
And so I feel like when people talk about these boundaries that we've supposedly broken with them, I have a hard time figuring out where they are because
I'm like,
what I think is interesting too is that you are literally telling me what boundaries I was given as if like, it's almost like, okay, who makes a boundary? The person, right? And then who delivers that boundary? The person delivers it to me, not you. So you're telling me what the boundaries were? That's insane because you didn't see our private conversations that we had off camera, not even in public at all, just me and you and Brain Trees talking. So
yeah, it's true. And it's always been private. So that's why it's funny because it's almost, a good response to people when they say like, oh, you've broken boundaries. Be like, oh, so when did Brandon and Teresa tell you our boundaries?
Thank you. When did they release that information to you? Because you're going off of what you assume.
Right. Assumptions.
And that's dangerous. And that's kind of why I feel like with this podcast, we can get into certain stuff. We can, shine some more light, give some more context, because I do believe context is super important.
No, it
especially when you're taking old clips that are edited and down and putting them all together to fit your narrative or whatever it is you're trying to prove. So it's like, I think it's interesting when people are telling me what the boundaries are from a private conversation that I had with Brandon and Teresa. That's
that we've
weird.
never even shared.
That we've never shared. Yeah. So it's like, and also about communication. Like, you don't know how often we texted on a daily basis. You're assuming that we didn't talk a lot, or you're assuming that we message every 2 months, or you're assuming if it was me, I would only message maybe once, twice a year. Well, you don't know the normalcy of our communication. You don't know.
No, you're not in my life.
Exactly.
You know?
So how can you?
And so that's why I think, though, too, for me, I think it's like, I don't have a problem with addressing certain things, but when you address things and people still don't understand or don't believe you, that's when I'm like, you know what? Fine. I said my truth, and I'm not going to keep going back and addressing the same issue over and over and over again. And that's why I said, at the end of the day, I sleep great.
Yeah. Listen.
Because I know my truth.
4 + 4 = 10 for you.
Right.
Fine. Like, that's what I'm at in my life.
4
I'm like,
+
whatever,
4
dude.
= 8 for me. So,
yeah. So,
you know,
like, but I also think it's like you said, to just I'm going to address it one last time, and that's it. I think it's important. We can do that. We're allowed to do that. Yeah. And I think it gives clarification for people who are making all these assumptions. People on TikTok making these assumptions is dangerous.
Oh gosh.
And I think it's really,
it feeds people.
And I think it's hypocritical for them to go on these TikToks and say privacy, they want to be private, stop talking about it. You're talking about it more than I am.
True.
You're making multiple videos talking about our situation.
And talking about Carly's story.
While
you don't even know it.
simultaneously preaching against us doing it.
Right.
So I think people should really kind of self-reflect a little bit. You're telling us certain things, and you're making these videos with all these assumptions, which none are verified. None are. I just think it's crazy.
I think to piggyback off that too, I think one thing that I also would like to say is, you know, it goes back to people not knowing the full details of our story because things have been private. But even when Teresa said, like, I'm not going to be responding to your texts for a while, we spoke to adoptees, and we got multiple adoptees, and multiple adoptees told us, keep reaching out, send pictures, tag pictures along with your messages, so that way you have receipts. You can show Carly when she's older that you did not stop. And if her parents decide to show these to her or not, that's up to them.
Right.
But at least you can go and say, I didn't stop. I tried to send updates, all of those things. Because as birth parents, when stuff gets cut off, you don't know what to do. So I figured speaking to adoptees and other birth parents would push me in the right direction or what I should do.
I also feel like it's kind of a lose-lose. Like, there's no winning, because if we didn't reach out, people would say, you're an idiot. Why would you not fight for your daughter? Mm-hmm. And if we do reach out, they're saying, stop fighting for your daughter and be quiet and silent. You're hurting everybody. It's like, so I don't think there's no winning for birth parents in this situation. I think we just have to go off of what we know, which is like, okay, like you said, every adoptee we talked to said it. I would want to know that you still tried.
Yeah.
Boom.
Or even I had someone that said, I wish I would have saw my birth parents trying that hard.
Right.
You know, and it's like, oh, damn.
Yeah. So it's like, I mean, and honestly, you said in the text messages that you did, that wasn't normal text messages. You only started addressing Carly personally on Teresa's phone after the fact of her saying, like, I'm not going to respond to you anymore. And you said, well, you may not be responding to me. That's fine. But I made a promise to Carly to always reach out, give updates, pictures, letters, whatever. So that's what I'm doing. And like you said, you can choose to not show it to her at all. That's fine. And you can choose also not to talk to me at all. That's fine. But that's also separate from my promise I made to her.
Right.
And 100%. How I feel that she should, the information she should know, whatever. And so I think people see the screenshots of like, or the,
Right. It looks crazy. I'm sure. I get it.
It does.
But they didn't understand the backstory.
And you don't understand the context.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, if you think 2 text messages a month is overboard or too much or that's whatever, that's your perception. That's valid. But like I said, your perception is based off of your perception. It's not based off of the normalcy and the track record of communication that we've always had with them. You don't know those specific details. No, so you can't really tell me that's overdoing it. How do you know?
When did they tell you that?
That's what I'm saying. When did Brain Treat to tell you that, hey, we only text once every 5 months, so twice a month is too much. You know what I mean? Like, you're going off of these things with and honestly, I feel like what people don't understand is that it's dangerous. And you're making these assumptions and having people on the comments, and Carly could read these comments one day. And I think people should just really just step back and think about that for a second. I'm only here speaking my truth as a birth parent. So that way, if she does come and look for information, there it is.
Right.
And she has the truth. But she's not going to have the truth on top of all these assumptions and these speculations and none of the details, none of the information, the correct information. A lot of it's false. A lot of it's wrong.
Yeah.
So like the whole thing about it being 5 years, there has been the finalized paperwork for our open adoption agreement, which we have, which I don't know where it's at, but people are confused saying that the adoption was only for 5 years and that me and you should be grateful for anything above and beyond that.
I know, of course.
And
shut up to be grateful.
And that is my thing, is like, that is false. The paperwork that you're getting the information off of was from a not finalized form of our adoption agreement when Dawn gave us that at the table of that restaurant.
Yeah, and that was from like way in the beginning of us making the adoption plan.
Yeah, so, and the whole 5 years thing was only about a picture that I wanted on her birthday, specifically by herself for the first 5 years, so that way...
Which you never got, by the way.
Well, we got pictures, it just wasn't...
Not like that, though.
Not the way it's fine. I never argued about it. I was like, whatever. I never complained because I was like, listen, I'm still getting pictures. I was happy about it.
No, I get it.
But the information that they're going off of, that little clause in that piece of paper that they're zooming in from a TV show, is not the finalized open adoption agreement. We had the finalized open adoption agreement.
Yeah, it's in my email.
And it clearly states visits up until 18.
Once a year.
Once a year. Annual. ANNUAL. Annual visits. That is one visit per year until she's 18.
Right.
All of our signatures are on it. It's all in black and white. It's all there.
Yep.
But God forbid you keep going on your little screenshot of a TV show from 10 years ago and zooming in on the little clause on adoption paperwork that wasn't the final form.
Right. No, it wasn't.
So you're making these TikToks and these damaging accusations,
and I think it's
based off of false information.
Well, and it comes back to people not fully being educated about adoption and open adoption, because like we were told this whole time and this whole journey when we were making this decision for her was, you know, if you ever change your mind about openness or whatever during this, Dawn used to always say, we can pull out the big eraser, we can erase it, and we can make it to however you feel and however you want it.
Right.
So yes, after she was born and we held her and saw her, of course we thought to ourselves, oh, hell no, this is going to be really hard. I love her. I want to see her. I don't want to have any what ifs. I want to know what she's doing and what does she look like and what is she into. And so we told Dawn, no. We want to switch it to open.
And we did.
Yeah.
And I honestly, I want everyone to understand that is okay. Birth mothers are allowed to change their mind once that baby comes into the world, because everything before the whole 9 months of being pregnant is all speculation, wondering, not knowing what it's going to be like and how you're going to feel.
Yeah.
And so I think people don't understand that during the whole adoption process, they always say, well, once the baby's born, things may be different. And they always said you could change your mind.
Yeah.
And I believe that every woman has the right to change her mind, especially when it comes to being a mother for the rest of your life or not being a mother. You know, that's a huge lifelong altering decision. So I think people don't understand that it's also not legally binding. You think this open adoption agreement is legally binding? It is not.
Well, no, but I know like in some states, like California,
can be
right?
Enforced.
You can enforce it and stuff like that too. But yeah, a lot of people, they don't. But I think another misconception, which I think is funny that I'm seeing a lot lately, and I know like you mentioned it too. So, like, my mom and I's relationship is in a better spot now than it was a year ago. And, like, I love my mom. Don't get me wrong. I do. I love her. She's my mom. But I see a lot of people saying, April was right. April and Butch were right. See, they never should have done the adoption. And I'm like, do all you guys forget what you watched? Do you not recall all of the stuff that was happening at this house? My mom was using, Butch was using, we were moving all the time. My house was infested with fleas. Remember at Johnny Lega's?
Right. Oh my God.
Like horrible.
You walk in and they would jump all over you immediately.
My mom got arrested for drunk driving, like all of these things. And I'm like, so you think that I should have just like, yep, my mom was right. I totally should have brought a baby into that environment. Like, what?
I think it's interesting because people are, like I said, people are looking at the situation. 16 years down the line.
Right.
Okay, so you're like, oh, watch this old clip. Oh my God, they were right. It's like, dude, you guys, first off, you didn't know the future. And second off, they were on crack.
Literally.
Okay? They're on crack and drunk and getting evicted and going to jail. Are you guys seriously going to tell us, oh, you should listen to your mom? You should listen to Butch and April?
Right. I'm like,
think about that for a second. You're telling me I should have listened to Butch and April 16 years ago.
Let that sink in for a moment. Do, 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 do.
Like, it is actually mind-blowing. And it's like, I get what people are saying, like, oh, well, April was able to, fish out Dawn or sense that the adoption was wrong. But I'm going to let you guys know, her intention was not to save us from being screwed by adoption. Her intention was to have what she thought was hers and what she thought was right.
Yeah.
And what she wanted to be a grandma, wanted you to be a mom. It had no...
Her and your dad both.
Yeah, they did not try telling us.
Remember your dad? He was like, I would live in a car with my kid.
Yeah.
And it's like,
and I think people are confused that, oh, they try. It's no, their intention behind wanting us to keep Carly was not based off of because they thought we were going to be screwed by adoption. They could tell that adoption was a scam or whatever the case is. They did it because of selfish reasonings, and that's the truth. Because one thing that people also don't realize is the day that we signed off our rights in court, they fought us in court. They literally stood in the back of that courtroom and screamed that they object and they want custody of her.
Yeah, they wanted to fight for custody of her. And I remember the judge looking and saying, I see two young children standing in front of me, knowing what they want for their child. And he was like, absolutely not. I deny it. And I remember they had to
get the bailiff and
escorted.
Yeah, because your mom was mad and my dad was mad and all this other stuff. But and it's like, yeah, because they were on crack. We're not going to listen to... And also, you're fighting for custody and you're getting evicted at the same time. My mind... So, people...
Getting arrested for DUI and, you know...
My God. And also, people just don't... They just don't know what it was like in your house on the day-to-day.
No.
They see these clips and...
So, if you see my mother and your dad acting like that on camera...
Guys...
What did people think it was like all the time?
Yeah.
You know?
And the fact that you're saying, oh, you should listen to April and brought her back to that house.
No.
Are you serious?
Like you said, we can't predict the future.
I can't predict the future, right, of course. I mean, I think people are saying, oh, you should have kept her, you should have parented her because we're on this TV show for 15 years and it gave us all this financial freedom and all these resources that we never would have had, blah, blah, blah.
I would say if I could go back to that 16-year-old and be as wise and know all the information that I know now, I might have made a different decision. But unfortunately, nobody can do that.
Yeah, you don't have a crystal ball. You can't just go back in time. So.
But but for people to be like, April, but we're right. I'm like, huh?
Like, my mind, when I see that comment and all likes on it, I'm like, are you guys for real, dude? You want us as 16-year-olds to listen to crackheads?
Hell no.
That's insane, bro. Yeah, I just think it's interesting that we are even having to really go down this rabbit hole. But I think it's justified because, like I said, real people have real, consequences and things happen when you go on these videos and you make all these damaging speculations and accusations and you're fueling a fire that shouldn't even really be brewing, right?
What's even funnier, though, is when you see people making these videos and they're spewing just misinformation and you reach out to those people and you're like, hey, listen, you can still not like me, but, you're spilling a lot of mistruth and I would like to inform you. And then they block you, but then continue making videos about you.
So you don't want the truth.
No.
Isn't that weird?
So weird.
I'm reaching out to you personally, not to... I have no...
You can still not like me.
Yes, you can still not like me. I'm not even trying to change your opinion. What I'm trying to do is give you the accurate data.
The facts.
So that way when you do make these videos, you're not spewing damaging accusations and speculations. Right. You actually have all the data. Do you want the data to make better informed videos? And you go, no. I want to keep... I'm like, what?
Respond. They just block
Well, I get it blocked. That's an answer, right? So you're like, okay, you're literally... So you don't want the data. You don't want the truth.
That's funny.
You don't want the facts.
Mm-hmm. And then so other creators who you reach out to them and they like...
Oh my God.
And they're like, oh yeah, and then we'll talk. And even if they're like, well, I still don't agree, but that's fine. But...
I've had a lot of them say like, I still think certain things I wouldn't do if I were you, blah, blah, but I understand on a deeper level of what's going on. Thank you very much. That's all I wanted. Right. I'm like, I can't control... people's opinions and what they do and what videos they make, but I definitely think if you're going to make the videos hating on me, I want you to have all the accurate data.
Yeah, right.
So
that way, if you're going to hate on me, at least you're spitting facts.
Yeah, and not misinformation because it's damaging, and we know how bad misinformation can harm stuff. So, I just feel like I think people should check their hypocrisy when it comes to making continuous videos with speculations.
I like that big word.
What?
Hypocrisy.
Oh, hypocrisy?
That's a big word. Hypocrisy.
You would have literally asked Siri to spell it for you.
Oh, for sure.
Hypocrisy.
H-I-P. Hold on.
Man. Go ahead.
H-I-P.
You're wrong already.
Hypocrisy. H-Y?
You hype without the E.
H-Y?
Yeah. H-Y-P.
Whatever.
Come on, you're so close. I was actually getting excited.
H-Y-P-R-S-I-R-S.
IRS.
C-Y. I don't know.
But yeah, anyway, so yeah, the videos people are making, it's hypocritical to preach about privacy and that, you're breaking boundaries because you keep talking about the situation, you keep talking about it publicly, but you're literally making 10 times more videos than I've ever made.
Yeah, you're talking about
in my life. So,
all the time publicly.
That's hypocritical, and I think you should do some introspection on that.
I agree. Totally agree.
Anything else?
I mean, honey, we have a whole show that you can talk about.
I know, but I was trying to think like, hey, okay, our whole goal of the episode was to just kind of like go through what we're seeing right now, which is a lot of turmoil. People are and I also feel like these creators, once the algorithm kind of feeds that thing, now they found their niche, right? Ooh, all the other videos have 1,200 likes or 1,200 views.
Yeah.
But this one video they made on their opinion about our adoption story got 24,000 views. So now what do? Ooh, I hit the golden ticket. This is my...
on their views.
Yeah. They're like, oh my God, this is it. So if I keep talking about the subject, I'll keep gaining all this stuff. So it's like they found their little niche.
Oh gosh, yes. Because
really
like you said, then their video talking about us is like got hundreds of thousands of views.
Right. And so I feel like people are just kind of like latching onto it and running.
Okay, so I asked our followers on the Kate and Ty Break It Down Instagram page. And I was like, drop me some of your anonymous, like, juicy secrets. I will keep it anonymous.
Shit.
And so I thought this was funny.
Oh, no.
Just to, like, bring it up to you and we could talk about it. And I told everybody on the
page. What
is it? I told everybody on the page, I said, if it's shocking, you might end up on the podcast, and I will totally keep you anonymous. So I want to know, do you want the one that's, like, kind of spicy, or the one that's like, oh shit, spicy first?
I want to hit the nail on the head. I want this, but you say spicy?
Like shocking. Okay, so a little shocking. Like, okay, what do you do in this situation? Or like really?
Okay,
shocking?
all right. I'm ready.
Which one should we do first?
The really shocking one.
The really shocking
No.
one?
Actually, let's just go from the bottom up.
Okay, so I got one, which is from a fan of ours, anonymous
fan.
Secret. Yeah.
Secret.
And it said, I slept with my younger brother's best friend, and it was fire.
I slept with my younger brother's best friend.
And it was fire.
I have so many questions. What are the ages? How far apart are they?
Right.
Are you literally like adults?
I would hope so.
Are you
right?
I don't know. I mean.
So if somebody were to, like, one of your friends sleep with your sister, how would you feel about that?
I would want to know.
You wouldn't want
I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I mean, sure.
Like your best friend?
My best friend. Hey, man, listen, keep it to yourself, homie. I don't want to know about you. Hell no.
Well, then what happens if they ended up like
being together?
Yeah.
Well, then we have to have a conversation. But if you're just boinking and boinking once in a while, whatever, I don't want to know about that shit. But I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, whatever. I mean, but yeah, I mean, what the hell?
Yeah. So I was like, I set out. I'm not really sure what I would do in that situation. Like, if somebody was sleeping with my sister and it was my best friend, say, I don't know, what if he was like a really good dude and really loved my sister? I mean, eventually I guess I'd probably get over it. Like if they ended up being together and stuff like that.
Would you be mad at first?
Maybe I might feel a little, not like mad, but like, ew. You know what I mean? Like, ew, you slept with my sister?
You're nasty.
Maybe like if my best friend Sam slept with my sister Sarah back in the day or something, when they ended up together, I'd be like, ew.
That's disgusting. Like I said, I don't want to know about that shit.
Right.
Now, if you want to date, we obviously have to have a conversation because guess who's going to be at Thanksgiving?
Yeah, you have to.
So we got to talk.
Yeah, you have to at that point.
Hey, if you're just hooking up, hell no.
Okay, so this one, I was like, Ty will get a kick out of this one. I know you have a lot to say.
Oh my God, really? I'm like, oh God, I'm nervous, excited.
Okay, so this is from another person on the Kate and Ty Break It Down Instagram page. Okay. And they said, I masturbate while my husband's sleeping.
Oh, whoa, what the fuck?
So she masturbates while her husband is sleeping next to her.
Why?
My question is like,
what's going on? That's what I'm saying. Listen.
So what would your reaction be?
You can't give me any of this. I need more I need more information. I need more details because dude, what the fuck?
What would your reaction be if you literally woke up in the middle of the night to me masturbating next to you?
I would be like, yo, I'm right here. You got problems? What's wrong with me?
That's what I'm thinking.
I guess, I'd be like, what's wrong with me?
Is there no going on? And so I think if this person hears this, like, I wonder if, you and your husband need to have, like...
You better vocalize.
Or just have a conversation about what you like, what you don't like, if he's not pleasing you in the bedroom. You know what I mean? Because that's crazy. I couldn't imagine, like, waking up and you're, like, jerking your chicken next to me. I would be mortified.
Would you be pissed?
Yes.
Yeah, because I feel like, and I don't know if that mean, what is it? I don't know if that means, the fact that I'd be pissed, but I think it'd be more or less like, what's wrong with you and what's wrong with us?
Right.
What's going on?
Right.
My body's right here.
Right. I think that plays into showing that, like, there's more issues going on.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you're not speaking.
Yeah, you're just masturbating while I'm sleeping.
Yo, don't do it. Yo, we're in the same bed. Why? What's going on?
Literally masturbating while sleeping next to one another.
I would be pissed.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that means about me. I don't know what that says about me, but I'd be pissed.
I think the anger would be...
Hurt?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you're like...
And it would be like, am I not doing enough for you? Am I not good at it? Am I not... am I doing
Obviously, you ain't doing something right if she's been just laying right next to you.
Yeah, is there something I could do differently?
Yo, that is so wackety-dackety.
I'm like, there needs to be a conversation had.
Okay, well, I also feel like, though, when people say, oh, how do you make it last so long? Oh, how are you so happy? And it is sex. People don't, they don't put that, I'm not saying all of that.
No,
I'm saying
I know.
It's very high.
Well, I was going to say,
piggyback
that, though, is like, but you have to have conversations about sex.
How am I going to know what you like if you don't tell me?
Right.
Vice versa, right?
Right.
But I think when people ask, oh, what is it? It's like communication, which involves talking about sex, communicating about what you like and what you don't like.
Yeah.
And vice versa. So like when I say communicate and then I say sex and honesty, loyalty, like those are all things that are like, that's what makes things last. And also being honest. You have to be honest. I am not protecting your feelings and I don't want you protecting mine. Mm-hmm. I am responsible for protecting my feelings, vice versa.
Talk in a respectful way.
Well, I'm not going to stupid bitch. I'm not gonna be like,
right. You're not respect that about her.
But like, I'm not. But when I tell you things, I'm not thinking about. I'm not worried about. Oh my god, I don't want to hurt her things. I have to be honest.
Well, you want to portray about how you're really feeling.
Yeah, and if my honesty creates a response in you where I have to apologize for, that's a little different. But I'm not. My intention going into it's not to. It's
protect you.
No, my intention is honesty. Right. Like this is how I really feel. So she needs to just. Be honest and say you're not doing something right. Listen, I'll be honest with you. If I don't know what guy this girl's married to, or whatever, but there are so many books out there, and I highly suggest reading them all because.
Or just like slip a few on the bed for him to read.
What bed or books?
Yeah, give him some books.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying though. But I also feel like, dudes, read the books, bro. Read all the books. Talk, communicate with your partner, whatever. I mean, literally, I had to. Kate didn't even know all the parts of her lady parts. I had to explain all the
yeah, I don't.
She's like, I don't know what that is. I'm like, that's a majora, minor. That's your. You're like, what? So it's like, yeah, get educated, bro. Like, damn.
That's what I mean. There needs to be a conversation had.
Wow. Wow.
And
I guess my thing is, how do people not conversate about it? Like, how do you not have conversations about it?
Is, like,
you just lay there and pretend your whole life that this is great, or that you're, why would you do that to yourself?
And then there's one where I'm like, this is a sticky situation. I'm not sure who my baby daddy is to my second child. My husband's or a friend of mine.
So...
Like, does this husband think that this baby is his? How old is this baby?
And she is saying that she doesn't know if it's the husband or her friend.
Or her friends.
Well... I think it's time you find out.
I know, right?
Get a DNA test.
Well, and you think about, because
the friend knows and you know. You don't. Don't involve the husband if you don't have to. I guess at this point, because I'm not sure when this happened or they broke.
Right. But my thing is like, so you have this baby or whatever. You don't know if it's your husband's or your friend's. But if your husband is just going along and thinking this is his baby, and then finds out he's not, that's very. Dude. Like, you might as well just get the hurt over with now.
Oh my God, dude,
because to prolong it and then him leave anyways or obviously be upset anyways, like.
That's kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You and the friend
do a DNA test.
Need to do a thing together and say, listen, I got to make sure. And then that result will open up other bridges, or it might close it off and like, cool, we don't have to do nothing.
Right.
We don't have to worry about nothing because it's actually my husband's. And then we just gotta.
Yeah, but then God, could you imagine going to sleep at night holding that secret?
Oh, what secret?
That, like, I cheated on my husband with my friend.
I know, but it's different than holding a baby saying, this ain't really your baby.
Oh, I know. Well, both of them are bad.
Yeah.
Both of them are bad.
I think I'd pick the other one, like, where, I mean, you don't gotta... And
people, man.
Dude, it is...
shock me.
Yeah, that's...
You know?
That is insane.
But that one, the one of the girls saying that she masturbates next to her husband while he's sleeping. That blew my mind.
I actually feel really bad for her and him. Yeah, I really do. I feel bad for both of them. Mm-hmm. I don't know why they're not communicating, but they need to. Because that's something me and you are really good at. Like, you say what you don't like, I say what I like, what I don't like, and that's it. And you take, you know what I mean? Like, guys, just read books. There's so many books out there. Just read the books, and you'll be. And
like I said, just like have a conversation about sex, even if it's not, and it shouldn't be uncomfortable to have conversations with your partner about sex.
It is a problem, in my opinion.
Right. That's what I mean. It shouldn't be uncomfortable to have these conversations.
Yeah.
And obviously it's necessary, because if you're not being pleasured the way that you deserve to be.
Yeah, it's a huge problem.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, pain. What you're going to lay there and just be in pain?
Right.
Like, that's horrible. And I honestly, if a guy really, like, loves a woman or whatever, he's not going to want her to be in pain.
No.
And so what I'm saying is that, like for instance, for us, like, that's important. You need to explain, hey, that is not okay. That sucks. And like that, but because we don't know. Right. I don't know what you like, what you don't like. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's like, and you vice versa. To talk. Mm-hmm. Like, I can't imagine, like I said, I can't imagine just laying there, just pretending your whole life. That's, dude, that is.
You know, it's crazy.
Go to therapy. Go to therapy.
Just go to therapy.
Yeah, there's a couple therapists out there that'll figure all this out. But, or maybe invite him. Why is she asking to join or something? I don't know.
I don't know. I would be like freaking out. How can you?
I think that's more disturbing than the baby daddy friend thing.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Damn.
Yeah.
Because here's my thing. One thing I also want to, when you're raising kids too, I don't know if it's people have kids, but when you're raising kids, you're also raising kids to show this is what love looks like.
Yeah.
Like, this is what, so being affectionate, being honest, communicating. Like, I think that's super important. Like, when me and you hug or kiss, our kids go crazy.
Oh, God. Yeah, they always want to be a part of it.
They, like, the little heads poke up, like, oh, they're hugging, and they run. Like, so it's like, they want to join. I think it's important for kids to, like, see.
It's so important.
That's what it's like.
Because then, as your kids get older, they'll realize, like, oh, my daddy never did that to my mom, or my mom never did that to my dad, or they were very affectionate and kissed in front of us. Yeah. And I think that's important for kids to see.
Yeah. But also,
you keep it G-rated.
But I was going to say, some people are like, PDA.
Oh, whatever. I peck my husband in front of my kids and hug my husband in front of my kids. Yeah.
Huddle on the couch?
Yeah.
Shit. No. You ate my ass. My house.
Remember that one time when Noah had the little friend over?
Yes.
I'm not going to say her name, but, and me and you, we like kissed or whatever, and she was like, ew. The friend was like, ew, that's gross. And Noah was like, they just love each other.
Yeah, they just love each other. God.
I know. I'm like, oh, see, she knows. We just love each other. It's so good.
Because she knows. She sees it. And the other friend probably doesn't see it.
Right.
So she was like, ew, what are you doing?
Right.
I don't know.
Some like, he was very G-rated. It's not like I'm shoving my tongue down her throat or love me in front of my children. Like, no, we keep it G-rated. It's like a peck, you know.
But still, you're still showing your kids like what. I mean, come on, dude. Like, that's important.
So do you have anything else that you could think to add?
I mean, honestly, I just feel like I like that part. I like the little anonymous stuff.
Yeah, I think
because that stuff's like then I get in the loopholes. I want to know all.
Like, I want to know all the details.
Yeah, what's going on? Like, dude, like, what?
Yeah, I thought that one was crazy, and I told your niece about it beforehand. I was like, "This is what I'm gonna show your uncle today when we record." And she was like, "Oh my God!" She's like, "If I was that guy, I'd be like, what about me?
Yeah,
what about me?"
That's what I'm saying. I guess it's one of those things though where you take it personal, right? How do you not take it personal? Of course, you know what I'm saying?
Of course, you would take it.
Because then you're like, dude, I'm literally laying right here, bro. Like,
at least we never have to worry about that. Thank God. High five. We wouldn't have been in that part.
Hey, but we had to communicate.
Yeah.
This never would have worked. We had to communicate.
No, and I feel like that's in any relationship. You have to talk about things.
Yeah, because everyone has different preferences and what they like, what they don't like, and some people are just some crazy and shit.
Right, and some people aren't.
Some people aren't.
Vanilla.
Like, tie me up. I'm not into that.
Right.
Kick me in the face. Like, I'm not really into that.
Bite me.
Yeah. Right. It's like, dude, choke me. It's like, I want to breathe though.
Right.
So
Some people are just vanilla.
Yeah. Oh, what do you consider vanilla though? I don't even know what you consider vanilla anymore.
Vanilla?
Like what?
I think just like normal sex.
Like no BDSM, you ain't taking the whips out,
right.
We ain't strangling each other.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that. I give you vanilla sex all the time.
Because honestly, like, dude,
if that's what it's considered vanilla, then give me vanilla.
I don't know what it is, but I don't want to be in pain.
No.
So that's where it comes down to. Some people are like, I was like, dude, wow. I mean, I get it. Some people are like,
people have different preferences.
How did that happen to you? Now I'm curious about your past. I'm like, wait, why do you want to be strapped to a board like the hog, and whipped and cut and shit?
And it turns you on.
Yeah, now I have so many questions about your past and your childhood that I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
Oh my God, I'm dead.
But honestly, I do think it's one of the most important things. And I think it's something that no one should settle on. Like, you get married to someone, you know that like your sexual compatibility should be exactly how it should be. You shouldn't settle. They shouldn't settle. Like,
and then you think too about how like religion and stuff is so anti no sex before marriage. Don't live with people before you're married, stuff like that. But then imagine if you guys get married and you're like, oh my God, I love this guy. He's the best thing ever. And then you guys consummate the marriage that night and you're like, this sucks. Then what?
Now what? I'm married.
You're right. And I'm stuck with this dick forever. Then what do you do? And you and I have watched a few weird shows.
Dude.
Remember even like
the one where they got married, the first kiss was at the altar?
Yes.
Dude.
And they were like highly religious and it was the most awkward. They didn't even know how to freaking kiss.
I guess.
So imagine them having sex.
Okay, I know, but I guess a part of it, I could see like, okay, you it could be a beautiful growing experience. You grow with it together, right? Yes. But yo, I ain't marrying nobody if I don't know they can lay it down. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. We have to know. You have to know.
Because that's what I mean. Could you imagine you get in it and his baby's like this big?
Yeah, but listen.
Or what if she's got some like roast beef?
Maybe some girls like that.
I like definitely. No, average size dick all the way. Average size dick. I hope my grandma doesn't listen to this.
That's true. Think about that for a second. But honestly, yeah, because when we talk about I was gonna say, you said you take some off, you would shrink it. It's good. But that also goes to pain, right?
Yeah.
And how I never.
No woman likes their cervix being slammed. Okay.
I know, but like honestly, like girls have to communicate that to us guys because we.
Oh, I will punch a motherfucker. No. I will uppercut somebody. That shit is no joke.
It goes to compatibility. You have to communicate.
Yeah, you do.
If you never would have told me you hurt me, then I never would have clocked that. I never would have even thought to be careful and whatever.
What do I tell you all the time when you have like you see certain women comment and be like, "Oh no, I love it. It's fucking amazing." And I'm like, "You're a fucking liar. You are a liar because if you love that shit, something is wrong with you. You're a liar. Lies.
Because ain't nothing ruin the mood quicker than that.
No, then
you hit me
jammed in the cervix.
For me, I'm like, oh my God, dude,
hurts.
Sorry.
Unless they're no different part that's in the BDSM and they like the pain.
That's what I'm saying. No, that's what I mean. It's a communicate though. Maybe they like I said, getting strapped to a.
No, thank you. I'm not trying to have a contraction. Thank you.
Yeah, because I remember we read that one meme where it was if you could change something physical, they had to answer it. And you're like, I would just take an inch off.
Yep.
And I'm like, well, that's not what I was expecting. So what the fuck? But like I said, that brings up the point of like, you have to communicate. So that lady needs to fucking communicate, bro.
They definitely need to have a conversation. Even if you have to get a therapist involved to help you if you're not sure how to say what your needs are.
Yeah, true. Yeah, right. Getting a therapist.
They have sexual therapists and stuff like that too. Right. And or her and her husband should go on one of those like the sex retreat.
Tantra fucking
where it's not like all about it's not all about having sex, but it's about learning about each other's bodies and connecting and talking about what you like and what you don't like there.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
that could be really
yeah, there you go. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, at least you don't ever have to worry about me masturbating next to you while you sleep.
Thank God. Because I'm like, yo, my whole life would be in shambles. I wouldn't know what the fuck's going on. Like, who am I? Who are you? Who am I?
Midlife
what is this?
Crisis.
What is we doing here? Like, what the fuck?
So yeah, it's now that we're, off the topic of, masturbation. Woohoo, way to end a show. But
and that's what you're gonna get used to, talking to us about like, no, bro. We just I don't know.
Like the first episode I said, it's like ADHD on crack. But again, so we do have after this week's episode, we have some really fun and good, interesting conversations with people coming up. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe and share Kate and Ty Break It Down. We are on Instagram, X, Facebook, TikTok, all with the same username, Kate and Ty Break It Down. You can catch us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere that you listen to podcasts, you can find it. And just a huge thanks for the support, and we look forward to talking to you guys next week.
Yeah, you guys are great. Thank you.
Pluto TV has all the shows and movies you love streaming for free. That means laughter is free with gut-busting comedies like The Neighborhood, Boomerang, and Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Bueller.
Mystery is free with countless cases to crack from Criminal Minds, Tracker, and Matlock.
I'm a lawyer, like the old TV show.
And thrills are free with heart-pumping hits like The Walking Dead and Pulp Fiction.
Correct the mundo.
Feel the free Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.